My name is Kevin Van Hollebeck. I live just about a mile on the other side of Thrasher's Corner. And first off, just a comment. You guys seem to feel like you're getting a bad rap for holding a special election. I guess I'm one of those people who sort of disagrees with coming at it so quickly. I think anybody who loses election always feels like it's because the voters weren't given the proper information by the opposing side. And so you're not the first one to feel slighted. The other side, I think, feels like you guys have told some lies about them. So that's just the way politics is. I called the county auditor to find out what it would cost to hold a special election. They said it costs between $2 and $4 per voter when you hold a truly special election with only one item on the ballot. I was kind of surprised. I just assumed you'd have to, by statute, have to wait at least a calendar year to put it up for vote again. I thought November would be much better. Your voter turnout will be lower this year, and the perception by a lot of people is that that's why you're going now, because you want fewer people to vote on it. Now, I'm not accusing you of anything, but that's how people look at it. They look at it's a little bit of dirty pool to vote again. I mean, if you win, are we going to have a third playoff election? No, we're not. You're going to be the winner. Well, that's my statement. I'll get to my question. Okay, let's go to Station 22. I live about 3.5 minutes from Station 22. I live about 10.5 minutes from the downtown Bothell station. Now, you have said that your system is better to have the paramedic station down there and to come out from there to cover the whole area. Whereas Station 22, they've got a paramedic on duty staff there 24 hours a day. To my way of thinking, closer is better. Seconds lost or brain loss, or minutes lost is brain loss, the whole bit there. So you guys have said your system is better, but now you're saying, Station 22, we're going to switch and do it your way for 5 years, even though we feel it's an inferior way to do it. If you truly feel that your way is best, I would work at convincing us out here that your system is best, instead of capitulating and giving them what you think is going to be inferior service for 5 years. Now, you're promising it for 5 years. I assume, how many people do we have on the council? 7? I assume 3 or 4 of them are up for election in November. And then the others are going to be out in another 2.5 years. So before the 5 years is up, everybody could be replaced. It's only a promise. There's no redress. If for some reason you guys pull it out of there before the 5 years, there's nothing we can do.
So I think I get your question. If you have more,
I got follow-up questions, but I'll keep it short.
Sure,
go ahead.
Sure, you're welcome to have the follow-up questions. So the first point is why not wait on the election, or why not push the election out? I actually would disagree with your premise that this election is going to have less attention now than it would have were we to run it in November. In November, we have a presidential election, we have a gubernatorial election, we have an election for United States Senator, we have an election for all of our congressmen. Every single member of the State House of Representatives is up for election, and a significant portion of the state Senate is up for election, including the state senator who represents this district. So I think in November, the annexation would be the very last issue on the ballot. I think people were going to be the argument that people are going to somehow not be paying attention. I guess
I'll make the gentleman's bet of $1 that there'll be fewer votes this election.
I wouldn't accept the premise of that question. The second point would be, what do informed voters do? I think there's been a lot of attention now paid to this annexation question. This is people able to look at the annexation question exclusively. There's now been extensive third-party objective media coverage of this election, which was not present in the last, in November. There was some, but it was pretty late, and it didn't necessarily have the complete story. With respect to when people vote or don't, when people vote, there's a very low barrier to entry to voting in Washington State. You are mailed a ballot. All you need to do in this case is mark a single box, yes or no, put a stamp on it, and mail it back. It may be that less people vote. It may not be that less people vote. The one thing I can tell you with a metaphysical certainty is that the number of people voting had nothing to do with why this election is being called when it is.
Okay, but my point is just that.
I know, I listen to you and hear me. This has nothing to do with why this election is being held. Why it is being held at this time is we wanted people to be able to focus exclusively on the issue of annexation, so that there was nothing else that they were focusing on, and people could really hear all of the information and make the best decision. As to Station 22, which was your second question, that was something that the city of Bothell listened to people. I mean, if you, the premise, I think, of the question is that we would be adversarial with people, and you say, well, you know, we're right and you're wrong with respect to Station 22. That isn't typically how elected or representative government works. People in the last election sincerely expressed a desire to have Station 22 open and staffed with paramedics. The city of Bothell actually absorbed that, listened to the people in that election, and changed our proposal as a result, and said, you know what, we didn't address Station 22. It's not true that we were going to close Station 2. We just didn't address it. And that became the flashpoint of the last election. They said, we want to have it there, we want to have it staffed with paramedics. We listened to the people. We actually even listened to Fire District 1. We had a Fire District 1 commissioner sent a communication to our fire chief and said, we don't believe Bothell has put its money where its mouth is when it comes to Station 22. If you are going to keep Station 22 open, you need to put your money where your mouth is. So we put an interlocal agreement that commits to keeping Station 22 open for at least 5 years and staffed with a firefighter paramedic. So I think we were responsive to the people in doing that. Fire District 1, we then said, look, why don't we just take this issue out of the election? You can sign that agreement, and then people who live in this area, like yourself, don't have to worry about Station 22. You could sign that agreement, and if annexation fails, Station 22 is secure for at least 5 years. If annexation passes, Station 22 is secure for at least 5 years. The city of Bothell executed that commitment. Fire District 1 rejected it and said, we're not interested in signing that commitment. So I think when it comes to the issue of Station 22, there's really no debate anymore. The city of Bothell has made a legally enforceable commitment that Fire District 1, who currently operates Station 22, has declined to make. That, and I'm not going to speculate as to why that is, but that's the reality of where we sit here tonight.
Are you saying on Station 22, you've signed a 5-year agreement with whom?
Well, you know, I have a little bit of an unfair advantage here in that in my day job, I'm an attorney. So a contract requires 2 people to commit to it.
That's
we made
my
a
point.
commitment to the people of this area when we passed the resolution for annexation. If Station 22 would be open for at least 5 years, and it would be staffed with firefighter paramedics. Fire District 1 said, well, that's just a legally binding resolution. That doesn't commit you to anything. So we said, okay, well, and we said, well, as you just pointed out, we can't contract with ourselves. So we said, all right, here's a contract. We've memorialized it in writing. Sign here, and we can take this issue off the table. And they declined to do that. So, I mean, I guess...
But they're a separate entity. They want to keep providing the service themselves rather than having...
No, hold on. It's important to understand, because I think it's an outstanding question. That agreement didn't prevent them. That was an agreement whether annexation passed or annexation failed. If annexation passed, the city of Bothell would commit to staff it for at least 5 years. If annexation failed, Fire District 1 would commit to staff it and keep it open for at least 5 years. We made that commitment. Fire District 1 declined to make that commitment. And
so
then,
no
I actually want to say this because I think this is important. Fire District 1, one of their commissioners then called, on that day of that meeting, called my law firm office and said, hey, you know, I know you've been trying to reach me. Why don't you come to the meeting tonight and we can have that conversation? My wife was in the hospital having cancer surgery that day. And at that meeting then tonight, they trumpeted it and they're like, well, no one is here from the city of Bothell. They didn't even bother to show up. If that's what it takes to convince people that you're on their side, okay, I guess. But the truth of the matter is, there is one party in this equation who has made a legally enforceable commitment to Station 22. It's the city of Bothell. It's not Fire District 1.
Okay, well, I won't take up more than 30 more seconds of your time. But in 5 years, Bothell will close Station 22, and there will not be a paramedic there. That's my prediction.
Well, in 6 months, Fire District 1 could close it because they haven't made a legal commitment. And if they join a regional fire authority, I think there may be a very good reason why they're not willing to make that commitment. If they join a regional fire authority, Station 22, how many calls do you think Station 22 has a day? On average?
You've got the figures. I don't.
It's in this. Actually, I didn't have the figures. I read it this morning in the Everett Herald. It's 2 calls a day. 2 calls a day. So if Fire District 1 joins up with a 350,000 person fire district, regional fire authority, a station that has 2 calls a day, there may be a reason why Fire District 1 is not willing to commit to even 6 months of operation of Station 22.
Yes, but you're also leaving out that if they close 22, the talk has been that they'll build another one near the Linwood High School, not that far away. So anyway,
then I don't think you and I disagree. I mean, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yes, but they want to staff. Their past history is they like to have a paramedic at the station. Yours has been not. You're promising to do it for 5 years, and that's noble. But after 5 years, it will be gone. Also, back to the election thing, and then I'll let you go. In November, only 2% of the people that voted did not vote on the annexation. Of the people that went to the ballot, only 2% did not. There will be fewer people that will vote on this election. I realize it gets mailed and it seems easy, but that's just the way it is. Also, as far as one last thing, and I'll go. 20 more seconds. I know, but I sat here for 20 minutes and listened to them. So just give me 20 more seconds.
You can have 20 more seconds. Go ahead. 20. Go ahead.
I know. I realize that. I've got another meeting that started at 7 and I'm supposed to be at 2. So sorry about that. As far as being a grassroots organization, I looked up in November at the PDC forms. You had $2,500 came from Cam West. You had $25,000 that came from the King County Police and Fire Unions, and you had $130 came from the citizens of the annexed area.
Actually, sir, you're wrong.
Well, hold on. Let's go. I'll answer. I gave you 20 more seconds, and I'll answer the question. You said that 2% of the people didn't vote on the annexation area and the issue. 100% of the people who are voting on this annexation issue will be voting on the annexation issue because there's no other issues on the ballot.
I was just saying that
they're going to be focused on that issue. With respect to financing, I'm here to discuss the merits of whether or not it's a good policy decision and to answer questions about the city of Bothell. There are unions on both sides of this election who have given to both sides of the election. I think that's pretty unremarkable, and I think people who are in favor of annexation can point at the point of view that you have, sir, and say, it's 96% funded by unions. That's true. You can point and say, you know what, unions have given on the other side as well. That's also true. I think what we should focus on here is the issue of whether or not annexation is good public policy for the people who live in this area or bad public policy who live in the area.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
And like I say, I checked the PDC. If I read it wrong, I'm
sorry. Wait a minute. I just want to say something here. You're looking at the PDC from 2011.
Correct.
Actually, the FD1 and FD7 sued the Bothell King County Fire Department and stopped them from making any donations this year. So this year, there's none.
Well, I think as I said before, I mean, I'm not here tonight to debate contributions. I think you would have to acknowledge, sir, that fire unions have contributed heavily to the No campaign. I would acknowledge that unions have given to the Yes campaign as well. I don't think that's what we're here to talk about. I think we're here to talk about whether or not annexation is a good idea or a bad idea.
It's not grassroots. I'm just pointing out it's not as grassroots as it all is. So, thank you very much.
Well, that was good in some ways. The reason I felt and say in some ways, I think people should ask one question, and then you can answer it, and then we can go to someone else. They're allowed to ask other questions, but I think everyone should get a turn.
Right there, James.